What's going on, guys? Welcome back into Rover Sports here, and we're just going through some marathon tape today, a marathon tape day of looking at quarterbacks and films and all that stuff. So really appreciate y'all hanging out, and shout out to Mike, one of my favorite commenters. He's a San Francisco Niners commenter. And I know that he wanted me for a while to take a look at this kid, CJ Beathard from the University of Iowa. And this kid, Beathard, just leapfrogged Matt Barkley. So CJ Beathard, um, he's really actually factoring in to this quarterback competition out of Iowa. And part is due to Brian Hoyer's ineptitude. But to tell you the truth, man, I'm really, I'm looking at this guy and I'm excited to see what he can do. And we're going to analyze some of his tape today. So I believe that we're actually going to get here a penalty for CJ, which continues this drive. Um, Now, let's look at the guy's footwork here, CJ Beathard. Let's really try to dig deep into CJ and his game. So, it takes a while to drop back in the pocket, even from the shotgun. And with an offensive line that's problematic, that's gonna take some issues. But once CJ's ready to throw, I love the way that the way that he sets up and he's able to drive really off that left foot, even driving more so than Deshaun Watson has been driving when I'm talking about the execution of the throw. Now, getting him set up to throw is a chore. He's going to have to, of course, get quicker feet, get ready to snap and go. But here's CJ. He's going to stare down one guy, which is fine. He's going to stare down one guy, which oftentimes isn't fine. But this throw is just really for a rookie. He sticks this one. And Brian Hoyer, I know Brian Hoyer had that bizarre play where he lost the football. Brian Hoyer had some sticks also in the first half where he was sticking guys. And there were times when Hoyer in this first half, he was really moving the chains and he had some impressive throws. But the guy turns the ball over too much, kind of an annoying personality, right? Like you look at Brian Hoyer guys, and first I'm going to analyze this throw out here by CJ. Again, he is staring down one guy. He is staring his boy George Kittle down. And I understand why. He actually had two guys there. He's trying to get a late throw to the sidelines. This is nice though, because I think CJ's biggest flaw and why he was taken so late is because Ferenz didn't let him air it out at Iowa at all. Like he was just strictly there to not turn the ball over, and that wasn't an explosive offense. But this is nice. I mean, I'm glad to see CJ at least has the potential to at least drive the football about 50 yards in the air, because as a deep ball thrower, his strengths are in the intermediate passing game. He doesn't have an arm like a Matt Ryan that Shanahan had before. Kind of the same arm strength actually as Kirk Cousins. Not an elite downfield thrower of the ball. That's why CJ was taken in the fourth round. But you look at Brian Hoyer, and what I was talking about Hoyer is that Brian Hoyer is always, I think everybody in the NFL is mostly rooted against him, other than maybe his family members. Because if you remember the whole Manziel saga, Brian Hoyer was very disliked. Everybody wants to see Johnny football. Brian Hoyer, again, is a guy that has a limited skill set. But looking at CJ Beathard, um, I'm a bigger fan of CJ Beathard, I think, than Brian Hoyer, because Hoyer has an expiration date on his talent, makes crippling interceptions, and Hoyer's just flat out annoying. He's a good worker, good team leader, but the guy just kind of annoys me. And I think it's because you root for the young kids, you root for the rookies, and maybe you guys can explain why Hoyer might annoy you. But the good news about watching football as fans is that we don't basically have to have allegiances to any guy. And I'd like to see CJ win this job out, see if he can lead this team. I know he doesn't have an arm like Josh Allen or Josh Rosen, like a guy that's going to be coming out like a first round pick. But this is a stick. If you guys aren't noticing, I love how he identifies this play. This is pretty damn exciting, this throw right here. Probably my favorite throw maybe of the whole day. Look at the timing in real time. Boom, drives off that left foot, quick release, powerful arm strength for a 15-yard radius. the guy's accurate on time, making some throws out here. I mean, I really loved, and then look at this. George freaking Kittle. He runs over this dude with 3 names on the Broncos. Look at Kittle finishing the run. Rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling into the end zone is George Kittle. Look at that, man. I love the passion of George Kittle from Iowa. 2 Iowa guys getting it done here. I love Kyle Shanahan making Beathard comfortable, bringing in his buddy George Kittle, and George Kittle looks like a stud. There's one dude that doesn't like that, and that's this dude, Vance McDonald. Vance McDonald and Brian Hoyer both sitting on the sidelines. They are two of the biggest enemies of Beathard and George Kittle. Vance McDonald can't be liking that play very much because George Kittle might be taking your job, Vance. So, looking here as we continue to move on. Vance McDonald, though, I mean, I still love that play against Carolina last year. I still kind of love Vance, the long hair of Vance McDonald. I like Vance McDonald a lot more than I like Brian Hoyer. But anyway, so you got that huge touchdown, CJ, and then George Kittle plowing over defenders, making some huge plays. George Kittle looking awesome in the preseason. Here's kind of a tentative run from Tim Hightower, who for the Cardinals was not tentative in the least. But that's Joshua Bibbs. Maybe Kenneth Bibbs. And then, look, whoop, I'll let you get back to the line of scrimmage there. As the footwork here, I don't know if this is part of Santa Clara is slippery or not, but I mean, the field, I mean, CJ Beathard is really slipping around on this turf here, and here, I mean, footwork gets all jumbled up, and again, putting it in a good place, 3rd and 8, and Denver's defense, I mean, with Vance Joseph, they are so tenacious. I mean, they're takeaway machines, the Denver defense. And it was really a rough night for the Niners, turning the ball over with Hoyer fumbling. A lot of fumbles out there on the football field. Barkley had a fumble. So it was a really sloppy night. But let's see some more CJ Beathard here. Here we go. So CJ again. One thing about CJ, he's not to the point where he's really progressing a lot of reads right here. Unfortunately, his first read wasn't open, so he just had to throw it away safely. But look at this. My gosh, that's great touch. Play action fake CJ's money in the bank because that's all Ferenz ran at Iowa, but look at how defined he is in the play action game. His footwork is awesome. He gets his feet around here. The play action game, CJ Beathard is really, and that's why Kyle Shanahan loves that, because this looks a little bit like Cousins and Matt Ryan in play action fake. That's why he was attracted to CJ Beathard, is because of play action fakes. And if you can run the football, I don't know if Carlos Hyde or anybody can run this football. I mean, Staley's one of the few, I think, good linemen on this football team, because you see Zane Beadles getting beat a lot, and Zane has regressed, unfortunately. So let's see what we got right here. This is a drive killer. Killer is Zane Beadles getting blown up here by the Denver Broncos. That kills drives, and that unfortunately is the death of CJ Beathard for this particular drive. Death sentence. 3rd and long versus Denver defense. They're going to play zone. You're going to send out the punting team. So that sucks, because you want to see CJ Beathard you want to see him get opportunities. And when Denver decides to run when the Niners decide to run the football twice, maybe 3 times, you're not going to see CJ Beathard in his full capacity. And I want to see CJ get some opportunities. So here again, CJ Beathard, a little bit on CJ's, a little bit of blame could be, that wasn't Zane Beadles, it's the guy Barnes. I apologize to Zane Beadles. But anyway, looking at this this drive right here, penalties. Penalties and a lack of a running game from the third string offensive line, second string O-line, really hurting CJ Beathard's prospects here with this drive, because there you get nothing. You're in 2nd and 16, 2nd and long, and then CJ's going to press here and try to force one into his first read coming up. And it's just unfortunate that CJ can't stay ahead of the chains because his running game was absolutely atrocious there. And maybe the coaching staff is trying to make Brian Hoyer feel more comfortable. I doubt it. But they simply cannot run the football. And then CJ Beathard gets pressure. He's gotten pressured in his face on both of his 3rd and long attempts. So CJ just has to eat the football. And luckily he's not trying to force a throw in here to tight coverage. But for CJ, it must be frustrating to have to leave the field and go 3 and out there for CJ Beathard. And I believe that that's probably the last CJ Beathard attempt of the game. But the positives are play action fake. The guy is absolutely fantastic at play action fakes. CJ Beathard is a guy that has some arm strength, has some talent in the intermediate game, and CJ's footwork pretty dang good. I would let him really compete with Hoyer. I'd say maybe 2 and 2 halves. Continue to let Barkley look on the outside. And all right, guys, I'm going to have to head out for this film review, but I like what I see from CJ Beathard so far. We'll see y'all.